Happy New Year, everybody. I'm McCall Sahai with Be the Lighthouse, and today we're going to read part of my new book, Adventures of Light. It's a lot of fun. It's also different for me in that it's a series of loosely unrelated adventures. In that the premise is the in the book the author reads to his wife, and when he reads the story to her, the two of them live that story. So each story is very similar in that it's an adventure for a man and a woman who usually in the story begins they haven't met, or they meet just in the story, and they have all these fun adventures. Anyway, so let's get to it. First one is called The Barren Lands. I wonder why. The Barren Lands are just that. It's also humanity's last stop, filled as it is with all manner of persons that couldn't make it amidst the hustle and bustle of big city life, with all their wood to stay warm at night, fresh water, and the lack of impending doom that weighs over your every moment. When work transfers you to the Barren Lands, it's a sure sign your career is not only going nowhere, it's also a death sentence, especially if you're in the military or in any way, shape, or form associated with the judicial system. Jails don't even have doors, let alone locks. There's nowhere to go because we're 1,000 days hike from anything remotely resembling civilization, meaning the trading post at the Black River, aka the River of Death, because it's where the ferry drops off prisoners, provisions, and fools bound for Hilltop. It's also far and away the highest point in the Barren Lands, and thus the most defensible position. As we control the high ground, we control the Barren Lands, if you can call it that. I think it was originally a prison colony. I can't see any other reason for its existence other than as a place to send those you wish to dispose of. The upside is there's next to zero crime because the sentence is banishment outside the city walls where none survive against the Dark Horde. How I ended up here is far from interesting. Big city life was just that, but lacking in coin as I was also lacking in opportunities. Thus, I did like my friends and joined the military. Without sponsorship, they made us foot soldiers. The Barren Lands are always lacking in troops, and you get the idea. The best part is, though, when you get out, because who in their right mind would re-enlist after having been sent to the Barren Lands? You don't have the coin to get anywhere else, and the free ride back to the same lack of opportunity that caused you to enlist seemed like 3 steps backwards, so you're stuck there anyway. At that point, many re-enlist, but that seemed pointless to me, so I created my own opportunity. I decided private security was the way to go. With all the former military types around, finding quality staff wouldn't be a problem, even considering the fact that we were all so awesome that we were sent to the Barren Lands in the first place. I, however, firmly believe that adversity is nothing more than a breeding ground for success. It just then becomes about finding the right people, meaning they who do just that. I made sergeant, so I must have been doing something right, though that was only after what's known as Aaron's Folly, which is also known by several other disastrous nicknames that include incredibly uplifting terms like massacre. And no, I won't go into it because it all ends up on recruiting posters back in the big cities. Talk about circling the drain. I, on the other hand, hit it big, and I'm talking choice contracts. As I said, I had the pick of the lot when it came to recruiting. Everybody and their brother-in-law wanted to join up with me, and I, of course, only wanted the best, which is precisely what I got. We got so good, we got the caravan escort contract, and I'm talking a high dollar. For years, the caravan would get destroyed going to meet the ferry, leaving the new recruits to fend for themselves and attempt to escort whoever remained to Hilltop. You can guess how well that worked out. Then they started sending everything on the ferry, meaning more troops, wagons, etc. That's how I ended up out here, and it at least was better, but it was certainly far from perfect, as are a lot of things. It's all about making the best of things, which we have certainly done. Mustering out as sergeant, I had earned the respect of a great many people in a land with very few officers. The mortality rate was staggering, to say the least. As you can imagine, the caravans are our only means of communicating with the outside world, and thus every letter and parcel are golden. I had received a letter that hinted at great things in the offing. It asked if I could meet the next caravan in person. I often do anyway, so I went. The letter didn't say much. It was on the stationery for a real estate company, but in the embossed envelope of a mining outfit. Quite interesting indeed, so off I went. The instructions were suspiciously vague and yet precise at the same time. I was to bring both the letter and the envelope, which was to serve as a letter of introduction to M, who was not further identified. I imagined them to be the field agent of whatever corporation was behind all of this. It didn't really matter as long as they paid. As I mentioned previously, it's an incredibly long trek to the trading post, thus I took a sizable force. We had a few outbound travelers to escort that, and I was quite curious about this new venture and decided a show of force was the best way to show how committed I was. We had barely sighted the incoming ferry sailing downriver when we heard the horns in the distance. We made for the landing with all possible haste, but it was too late. The trading post was burned to the ground, and the ferry was completely destroyed before our very eyes. Thankfully, the ferry had already been unloaded. Not to leave you all in suspense, but it's a good place to pause. So I'll probably do a couple more videos here very soon where I'll read more of it, and I'll put a link in the description where you can look inside the book and order signed copies. So Happy New Year, though. I'm really excited about 2018, all the awesome things it's going to bring us, and know that in each and every moment you are always surrounded by much love, and I truly hope you are having the best day ever, because I am. See you soon. So now.